So yeah, recording is started. So today's session we are going to cover insurance domain, some of the key metrics, design and architecture, structure, how is composed, what are the things that you hear. So basically on that you see some of the graphics that I have captured. I'll just go through with that and try to give you some context around that so that you will be familiar about those things, right? I mean, insurance itself is a quite big, so definitely we cannot address each and every terms and details, but at least you will be comfortable like the what kind of the data you need to handle and what kind of the analytics reports and department you will work on, right? So this is the very first, and I still is very applicable in terms of the when it's come to the softwares in insurance. Still, a lot of the data are in a spreadsheet, right? And there are many reasons of that. Like Tanya is working on a healthcare insurance, right? It's Blue Cross Blue Shield, and every day she works on a lot of the worksheet and the spreadsheet and Excel and all that, right? So I'll set up one or two session on Excel also because Excel is very powerful. Still, Excel and Google, any spreadsheet is the same, right? So in context of the Google, it will be Google Sheet or Excel. So a lot of the finance guys they still do their finance reporting in Excel, and any reporting, sharing the data in insurance is very common is the CSV and Excel, right? So as you see, like 61% of the data of insurance is still in Excel or spreadsheet, right? So it means like if you are going to work in an insurance domain, definitely you need to consume the data from Excel or a spreadsheet or CSV, or you need to produce the Excel and CSV file, both way, in and out, right? Because all the data sharing happens through the spreadsheet. The other example is like the 2% is unknown, 18.9% is a homegrown software, right? So like you can see like every company has their own software to manage the claim and all that. A lot of the insurance company use out of the sales softwares, right? Like I know the Guidewire is very popular. Property and casualty insurance is a software provider that gives us the software for claim adjustment, right? So any claim related work for any insurance company, they can use the Guidewire claim, right? They have also underwriting system also. So same goes to Duck Creek is very popular for underwriting system, right? So insurance in general, everybody knows that, right? Because one way or other, you know that we do have a life insurance coverage, we do have a medical coverage, right? We do have a property insurance also, right? So I think insurance is not very unknown, so I'll not go in very detail on that. But there are so many different products they call it, or different line of business, the LOB that they works and operates, and there are different concepts on that. Some of them are still manual, and some of them are, even if you see the 7.8% is the commercial software, that's very less, right? So that's why a lot of the company, and I think on my experience, I've never seen like the so many company that in insurance they provide the software, right? Except the insurance domain, right? Even a small one, two people have some software that they're selling to some insurance company. Interestingly, I'll tell you one story. I was working in a project, and that software company has only one software and only one client. So that was our client company. So because a lot of like the homegrown softwares and they just use it, but still you see like there are a lot more potential for the insurance software product because still a lot of the data are in a spreadsheet, and that usually you see the bordereau file, and I'll come to on that because that's very important. The concept of the bordereau, I'll come later on that. So this is the overall the data looks like, and the systems that insurance company use, right? And this is the property and casualty insurance data flow. So as you see, like the core is the two main things that one is the policy and one is the claim, right? So policy, like as you go and buy your insurance, you got a policy, right? So everything is start like this is the application policy workflow, and that's known as the underwriting system also. Because underwriter is the agent or person who create a policy for you, right? I mean, Geico is a self-service because automobiles is very intuitive. So you go on the Geico site and you fill all the details, you fill the vehicle number, VIN number, and behind the scene is pull all the details. And based on your state, city, and vehicle, it will generate the price that you need to pay as a premium, right? You can adjust your coverage and deductible and all those things, right? So all those things done self-service, but think about that like the SpaceX, right? SpaceX is launching a satellite, they also ensure that, right? Or even like the some tournament or match is happening, they do the insurance for that too. McDonald, like all the chain of the McDonald is insured, right? Yeah. So doctors do the insurance, like if anything happens in the hospital or mistreatment, then if anybody is sue them, then they can adjust that, right? So there are variety of the insurance thing, and they're very complex also. So there you need a writer who understand that particular scenario, like I have like a rocket company or I want to insure, then they know that the what are the things I need to ask, right? And how to calculate the premium, right? So those all things goes to the underwriters who create your policy, right, based on your requirement. So there are different department also, like airlines, that's aviation industry. Marine is responsible for all the ship and all the your yeah anything that is on sea in sea, right? That you can do insurance, right? Property you do understand, like all the property, right? Commercial or your so all those things comes on the picture. So underwriter and writing department usually in insurance is very huge, right? A lot of the people works on that, and there are different segment on that. Like the underwriter who is expert in marine, they know that the what kind of the question we should ask and what how much premium should be calculated. They work on the marine, right? Someone with the aviation and all that. So in the flow, like you get the basic information about what you want to insure, and then the quotation will be generated, right? So quotation will have the basic information, like okay, what are the things that you want to be covered, and how much is the value of that, and all those things. And based on those factors, like to understand it, we can keep an example of the our car insurance, right? Because pretty much everyone has seen that how car insurance works, right? So you select your every details coverage, how much you want to be covered, deductible. The higher the deductible, the lower the your premium value would be, right? The higher the coverage, the more the premium, right? So all those factors need to be supplied, and then the quotation will be generated. If you are happy with that quote, then you can go for the new business, right? That's called the new business, right? Because Geico is getting a business through you, right? When you are binding or you are confirming that and making the payment. Before that payment, you can generate variety of quote, right? Like I want to coverage of the $500, I want deductible of the $100, and you can see like the how much premium is getting impacted that due to that. So you can generate multiple codes, and one of the code will be your final code that you are converting as a new business. These terms are pretty standard, right? There could be some other workflow, but application code, new business, when you finally confirm your policy, then renewals. Renewals as it's named, right? Next year you'll go for the renewal, right? Every 6 months our car insurance renewed, right? So that's the your policy renewal, right? Renewal time, they can recalculate your premium or they can live with the what you are paying, right? So the fourth option or fifth is called the endorsement. What endorsement means, like your policy is active and now you see like, oh, I'm paying $500 deductible, I want to reduce to 250, right? That action is called the endorsement. Means doing any change in your policy is endorsement while the policy is active, right? Endorsement could be they call it the premium varying endorsement, where your premium will be recalculated. As I said, like if you are increasing your deduction from 200 to 500, then your premium value will be low, right? If you are decreasing your deduction, like out of the packet, any incident will be happened, you'll pay from 250 to 500, then your premium will be lower, right? So that is the premium bearing endorsement where impact will be on premium and that need to be recalculated. Some endorsement could be I want to change my email address, I want to change my address, right? Then if your home address is getting changed, might be Geico will not care about whether you're living at the A location or B location, they will charge the same premium. But if your address is changed to different state, might be they will recalculate the premium based on the state. So those any change in an active policy, whether it's just address change, email change, phone number change, or the premium recalculated is called the endorsement. You can do the n number of endorsement through the underwriting system. Cancellation, we know that once like, okay, I have bound this 6 month, but after 4 months, I'm canceling that. So when you cancel any policy, premium recalculated and some refund need to be generated, right? Depending on the term and condition of your policy, and after the cancellation, you get your refund. Reinstatement means like again, like you cancel that, but you restart again, right? So you can restart and reinstatement. There are some difference, but you can consider it like okay, after that you are restarting that process. So all these things are done by underwriters, and underwriting team does that. And this is the typical process flow of any policies. And each step you see a lot of the data is produced, right? So that's underwriting system goes here. And see here, this is the product development. There the actuaries come in a picture. So in any insurance company, actuaries are the person, they are highly paid person and they design the product, right? Product in the sense like the car insurance or motorcycle insurance or jewelry insurance, right? So some companies started like, oh, I want to insure your jewelries, right? So they decide like what are the factor need to be considered, and based on those value of the factor, what should be the premium. So all that equation, all the formulas and calculation that goes on that, they call the rating engine, right? Generally they refer as a rating engine. So based on those factors, your system, underwriting system, generate the premium value, right? So that's where the actuaries come in a picture, and they design the new products. You see, like every time a new variation of the products come in a market, right? And every company has their own actuarial team and their own factor to calculate the premium value. That's why you see like the quotation for the same car from Allstate to Geico to Liberty Mutual, you see the premium value is changing, right? It depend on there are a lot of the factor goes on that picture, but how the product is designed, like the insurance policy, that is done over here. Once the product is developed, then they do the marketing for that product. Like it's like the term insurance, life insurance. You see a lot of the advertisement on that, like this is my product, this is my insurance product, you buy it, right? And all those things. So all those things come on that picture of that. So product development and marketing happens. After that, it's come to the underwriting phase where the you are actually writing the policy, right? Like you are becoming the customer of that insurance company. You are buying an insurance, right? And these are the flows and stages of that. Then again, like there is a financial involved, right? Like you do the payment, right? Yeah, your payment would be one-time payment. Your payment could be monthly installment payment, right? And based on that calculation happened. So definitely, like when you receive the payment, that goes to the account receivable, and then the finance teams comes in a picture. General ledger is the common system that is used by every insurance. Consider it like your banking transaction, right? So your ledger books have every transaction that has done, right? Like if you goes for the installment payment, you did the 12 installment, every installment has been captured here. Then you cancel your premium, then they did the refund, then whatever the refund check has been given to you, every single details goes over here, right? And there are a lot more other factor also. So finance team is very strong, and a lot of the reports you work on the finance for finance, right? And they need to know like the what is the gross and what is net, and because all their financial statement that they're going to produce, how this company is working, is all goes from there, depend on that. So that's why the lot of the analytical work, and every insurance company has a very much focus on this kind of the work, right? Because they need to be absolutely very clear of every single money that is going and managed, right? So there are different standard, like the you see the paid loss and the claims have also happen. Like the usually, why we buy insurance? Because if anything will be happen, company will pay you, right? That's the core concept of the insurance. That's why we pay the premium, right? So then the claim is reported, right? Generally, generally the so the first half of that is your policy. You bought a policy, you did all those things, and you are sending a premium regularly to the company. That's the first flow, right? And finance team is capturing that premium. If you are late, they will send a letter like your premium is due on 30 days. Please make a payment, right? And they can come, okay, this is your premium value. This is the due amount that you need to pay, something like that, right? So that's the first part where insurance company is receiving the amount, right? And that amount also there are so many fees and taxes that company need to pay. And property and casualty insurance, you see the lot of this kind of the business comes from the broker. It don't come directly from the Geico, right? Geico is a very straightforward consumer to company, right? Where you go on the site and you generate code for your car, right? But property and casualty is very complex, like the McDonald's chains. Walmart want to insure insurance for all their centers, right? Starbucks want to do that, the same thing, right? There are other employee related insurance also. There are, I mean, literally you think of that and you will get an insurance product for that. So pretty much you can insure everything, right? So, so that's the first part where company is receiving the amount, right? The second part is that if any incident happen, you claim, right? You call them as like that's called the first notice of loss, right? So very first time when company will hear from you, some incident had happened at the right time, as soon as like you can send an email, you can call them, whatever the medium you're using, and you are informing your provider like there is some incident. They create an incident that goes into claim system, right? That's where the claim system starts. So you see like the new reported claim, then reopened, like might be say like, okay, it's done, but again after 2 months it's like, oh, there is more things need to be done, right? So they reopen and all that. And as soon as they receive any incident, based on the incident detail, they allocate some money, right? Like you say, oh, your windshield has been crashed, you need to change it. They allocate the $500 for that, right? And then whenever your garage will do the detail inspection on that, they come out like, okay, $350 would be required. Then the company will $350 they will pay you, right? So that payment goes. So everything from incident management to the payment, everything done into the claim application system, right? So as you see, like the losses happened and all those details again, company need to capture, right? The idea is that any company is profitable once they are receiving more premium and doing the less claim, right? I mean, less claim means not they can deny the claim, right? If your legit claim, then they need to pay it, right? But company profitability on that, like they need to write more policies. They need to sell more policies so they can generate more revenue. They can collect more premium, and whenever the claim happen, then they settle it, right? So that's where they work and they get the profit on that. So as part of that, definitely all those financials goes into your general ledger, and then they produce various kind of the reports that senior management understand how they are doing, how much premium they are collecting, how much claims they are making, how much payment they have done, right? And definitely as part of all these things, there are so many expenses associated with that, right? So those all expenses also goes in the account and that works, right? And one of the, I think this part is very interesting. I don't know whether you guys know or not, because when they collect the premium, right, uh, there is a regulatory requirement that they need to hold certain amount. It's not like you can write in number of the policies, right? You need to have fund, right? So for example, like if you have $100, then you can write only 10 policy, so that if anything will be happened, you have some money to pay. If you have to write 100 policies, then you need $1,000 in your account, right? Until you don't have money, you will not be able to write. So there are certain limitations on that for the company. And there that I have seen pretty much every insurance company do the investment in market, right? Because they have always surplus money that is sitting in account, right? So there, it's not good idea like your, and this company, depending on the size of the company, I know the Enestar is the reinsurance company, and anytime that they have a 10-15 billion dollar cash sitting in account, right? So they don't want to sit in account, they want to invest that, right? So that's another part. They goes and do that. So there are a lot more dynamics on that. It's very active system, and there are a lot more things happen. But primarily, you work with that policy holders that you see, like the policy claimant. Then there are vendors, brokers also comes in the picture because they works for you, and there are different market and acquisition channel also. And it's a quite common, like one also interesting thing, just from the general perspective point of view. Once you bought the policy, that never ends, right? If Geico's goes out of the business, all the Geico's policy need to be hand over to some other company, right? You cannot completely out of the business, right? Because if any of the your policy holder may make a complaint or claim after 5 years, you need to settle that, right? So merger and acquisition is very common. A small insurance company is bought by the big company and then do the consolidation. So it's very, very common. So as per my experience, if you are working as an analyst, then definitely you'll work on the more reporting side on that. But a lot of the time you will be very busy to acquire a new set of the data. Suppose that you are a company A, all your reports are working fine, you have cleaned all your data and report is working fine. Then tomorrow, company A decided to buy company B. So once you buy company B, what it means? Company B has 100,000 of the policy claims and all that data. So you need to integrate that data into their core system for reporting purpose, right? Those data company B could be active or deactive, depending on that. But again, you need to consolidate the data. So a lot of the time I have seen like the data engineer analyst keep working every year after year on the same set of the data with the different acquisition, right? So when acquisition happens, a new data comes, you need to again process that data. Every data is insurance related, but they all are different also, right? Because some is using first name, some is using full name, some is using just name, right? So for reporting, diverse data is a big challenge. So you need to consolidate the data in a one common uniform way so that all of your reports can be uh, look similar, right? And so lot of the time you will keep working with the new set of the data to integrate that data into your mainstream, right? And that's because of the acquisition that happens in the insurance company. Very, very common. Every company, mid-scale company, do the 10, 50, 20 acquisition every year. Every year. That produce a lot of the data, right? So structure wise, they will same. You see the same claim, but definitely, I mean, function wise same, but structure may be different. So that's you need to keep working on that. So that's about this part. So far, so good. Any question, any thought? All these are the terms. There are very standard terms. You can search around, or I can send a link. If you are more on the insurance domain and going to work, you can understand like what is coverage, what is limit, what is deductible. Deductible is very simple. This is like the any incident happened, if you need to pay $200 from your packet and the rest is paid by insurance company, that is your deductible, right? And limit is again like the how much company can pay. Like the maximum company in one calendar year can pay $10,000. So if your 10,000 is made, then they are not going to pay. Out of that, again, it will be your out of the packet. You need to pay that. So those things you can go in detail. If you guys get an offer or any interview on the insurance domain, then we can go more in detail, or we can share some more link on those. You can understand about that. Here are some analytical process and key performance that you produce, right? Depending on the your area, right? The marketing do these kind of the lead generation and all these are very standard. In the sales analytics, they see like the okay channels, who are the sales partners and all that things goes on there. New business processing renewal, that's come to their underwriting and customer. I mean, I don't know why they have split the customer and underwriting as a separate one, but I think everything goes there. Then actuarial department, I mean, insurance, a lot of their reporting requirements come from actuaries, right? Because they need to produce they are the kind of the uh, heart and lungs of your insurance company. So they need to know like what's going on in the insurance company. They need to know all premium value, they need to know all the claim value, and they do the works on that. So like you see the deviation filing, production development, and reserving, reporting, all these works come under actuaries. So all these department that you see, these are your client, right? When you are working as an analyst, these departments and these folks or department head or managers will be your customer, your client, your end user. They send the request, and based on that, you need to produce report for them, right? Claims department, a lot of the things comes from the claim departments, legal and finance. Finance, claims, and underwriting. I see like if you see the three out of that, I mean four: finance, underwriting, actuaries, and claim. These four are the kind of the heavy user of any insurance company. They do a lot of the requests. A lot of time you'll work with these guys: finance guys, underwriting guys, actuarial, and claims guys, right? So this is about something like each section, what you do and what departments look like. This section is like a very high level, like how the org chart looks like in any insurance company. So definitely any company has a CEO, but then there is a legal officer, chief actuaries. You see, like actuaries is a separate department, right? In parallel to who directly reports to the CEO, because it's very, very important. Department and the skill set for. They look for the new product development, pricing, reserving, and all that, right? So chief actuary is there. Chief marketing officer. Marketing is also very important. Otherwise, no one will buy your product, right? That's why we keep hearing every time Liberty, Liberty, Mutual, and all those things. So the marketing is definitely like the social media marketing, website, and all that. Then there are your underwriting department side, your different VPs and senior works on the different departments, right? Line of business, because it's so wide and so vast, one person cannot handle that, right? So depending on the line of business, they are ahead of that. One guy is responsible for the aviation, one is for marine, one is for property, and they are kind of the responsible for meeting the target and working on that. CFO is pretty standard in any company. Without CFO, you cannot work, right? Then there is a chief claim officer. So chief claim officer you don't see in any other company except insurance, right? Because as I said, underwriting is the one part where the company get the revenue, and claim is the other part where they pay the amount to the customer, like the policy holder. So that's why the claim is very, very big in any company, insurance company. So the chief claim officer is there who is responsible for the entire claim department. Admin is there and CIO is overall looking for. So lot of the BI related initiative is done by CIO, right? So who is your stakeholder is the CIO, because you understand like the data is very important, and all of these claim officer, actuaries, legal officer, these are your client and customer within the company, right? So they provide the request, they allocate the budget, CIO make the kind of based on their request they come up, and that's how the entire analytics work. So one thing I'll say, like the good part of the analytics and compared to any programmer and developer, programmer and developer are very down the line, right? But analyst is always on the top of the line, right? I mean, you can say it's a good or bad, right? Depend on that. But because always you work with the big shots in your company, always, never you interact with the lower than VP and the manager, right? Always. So it's a high visible, right? It's a very high visible work, and that's why it's a very high paid work also, or it's very rewarding, no doubt on that, right? From the all perspective. So that's the big difference, right? That's a really, really big difference that I really like, right? Same thing you see like the in a healthcare, the few things change, right? In healthcare, because it's related to health, then the chief medical officers comes in a picture, right? Because all those things like a HIPAA compliance and all those things come in healthcare, right? So that additional things added on that. There are a lot more regulatory requirement comes, and due to that regulatory requirement, also a lot of the works come in a picture, like you like data security and privacy and all those things come in a picture. So there are a lot more things on that picture. So that's the typical structure, right? So in terms of the healthcare. So see, this is the one just snapshot of the how your model look like and how we do the model for reporting. This is a typical, this model is called the star schema, right, in a OLAP system. And I don't know whether you are familiar or not. So as we see, like the OLTP is more fragmented, that's follow the normalization, whereas OLAP is more consolidated and that follow the data warehouse principle for fact and dimension, right? So the two concepts used in case of the OLAP for the better reporting and easy reporting. Because here in this data model, our purpose is to build a better effective report, not to enter the data into system, because data is already there. You are not entering the data. But in OLTP system, your focus is to enter the data. Like when you go on the Geico, you fill the form, right? So you are entering the data. So that data is going into OLTP system. But when it's come to report, this is the model. And this is the star schema. Why is called the star schema? They may ask like the in OLAP system, what is the star schema and a snowflake schema? So it is called a star schema because in the center is the table, that's the fact table. And when we see the fact table means like any numbers that goes over here. Like you see the limit, claim count, loss ratio, incurred, profit, income. So any numbers deductible all goes as a fact, right? And any description of that fact goes as a dimension, right? That is adding the value of that. Like I say, like the claim count is 100. So question will come like 100 claim count is for what? Which month? Claim count, suppose that I'm saying the claim count is 100. The next obvious question is 100 is what? Is it for 1 year, 1 month, 1 day? So then your time dimension comes in a picture. Then you once you add the time dimension to claim count, you say like the 100 claim count is from 1 month January, right? So now it's very specific now. Now you got that the count claim count 100 is for January 2023. So that claim count 100 is fact, and the January 2023 is your time balance, right? Because it's coming from the time. Then you're saying like, okay, which line of business or which state or which country this claim is coming. 100 count could be from India, could be from US, right? Then your organization comes in a picture, right? So then you have a two dimension on that fact. Count is still 100, but now you have a suppose that all these 100 claim count is for US region. Then your region is US, right? So on. Then again, it's like, okay, this claim count is for which line of business? Is it for aviation or is it for marine or what, right? Or it would be for all. Then your product dimension comes in a picture. So that way you are keep adding the additional value of that fact, so that all those surrounding values is called as a dimension, and all the numbers is a fact, and the way it connects is just direct one-to-one connection, right? So your time ID will be in your fact table, your organization ID will be in a matrix table. We'll see that detail because these are the things we are going to practice every day. So don't worry about that. Your fact ID, product ID will go in a fact table. So this is your main table and this is your second table. So again, your join concept is going to be same, like left join, inner join, right join, whatever you're going to join. But the key concept of the star schema, fact is in a center, dimension is around that, and they directly map one to one, right? As you see here, every line is connecting to this, and that's why it's look like a star. So that's why it's called the star schema. Okay. In case of this, like usually this is called the data mart also, mart also. Why we call it mart? Because mart is very subjective. When you say the warehouse, warehouse is a very big. I mean, when we are saying the warehouse means think about this. Think everything, every single data is in your warehouse. Every single data. That's the warehouse. But when you see the mart, mart means very specific. A specific department for a specific purpose. You have created a mart that will solve the reporting requirement, right? So you see, like the top of one warehouse, there could be n number of marts, right? Depending on the your use case. At least two, three, four mart definitely you see. One is underwriting mart, one is the finance mart, one is the claim mart. If you simplify that, each department will have their own mart for better reporting, right? So that's come in the picture. If you see, this is the claim related. So a lot of the things are related to claim, right? Not everything. There you won't find anything related to policy. You don't see the premium. You don't see deductible in this table, in this model. The reason being, this is a claim data mart, right? So this model has been built for the claim reporting. So you see, like the all the dimensions are also changing. Few dimensions are very standard, like the time dimension, product dimension, organization dimension is standard. But the claim label, claim service provider, claim status, that change, right? Because depending on the nature of your data. So it is still a star schema, right? So what is the snowflake schema? So if any dimension extended, then that will call the snowflake schema, right? For example, matrix is connected to organization and organization is connected to product. So we are extending organization, although we are not going to do that. That's not make sense. But if you are extending the dimension to the next level, then it will become the snowflake. Yeah, then it will become the snowflake schema. That's the only difference. Nothing much difference between a star and snowflake. A star fact will be in the center, and all the dimension will connect to the center directly. In snowflake schema, again fact will be in the center, but one or many dimension can be extended to the next level, right? So there could be third table, one, two, three. One would be here that will connect to the organization, and then organization will connect to this. Like the think in this way. Your fact is your order, then you have a product category, and then product subcategory, and then there is a product category. So you have a three level of the table. That will become the snowflake. Okay, clear? I mean, we'll see that. I mean, it's very hard to be very clear in a one discussion, but at least you got the idea. You heard this word. What does it means? You can at least correlate that. Yeah, at least you can correlate that what I'm talking about. It's not an alien, right? So, all right. So the second thing is it is also very important. Like they're talking about the value life cycle, right? So the first definitely discovery phase, and they decide like, okay, what would be the return of investment and all that, and then they design the value for value realization, right? And then goes for the optimization of that, like how better they can get out of that. So and that same process you follow pretty much everywhere, right? Once you see a new set of the data, the first thing is that for your first task would be as an analyst to get yourself familiarity with that data, right? Data familiarity means how many columns are there, how many data records are there, how data looks like on that particular column, how many unique value on that column, right? So those kind of the query you do around the data, so to get better understanding on that data set. That is very, very important, and it's a little bit time consuming, but that would be your first target. As soon as you expose to any data or any system or any data set, start understanding, start building your understanding around that data. Means like number of records, number of columns, what kind of data is holds, is there any problem, is there any outlier, how many null records are there, and those kind of things. So start building on that, and then based on that you can do some quick reporting, and then you can extend it as needed, right? So always like the quick and dirty is good in that sense because it will give you something to do, and then you can refine it. So I see like all this thing is very much iterative process. No matter how thoughtfully you will try to do that, you'll not be able to solve all the data problem, right? So do the quick and dirty things, write some query, see some data, understand that, build some report around that, and whenever you see like the data is wrong or report is wrong, go dig deeper and then correct it, right? So it's an incremental correction process, right? In one shot is very hard to get it done. Underwriting side, they look for the underwriting performance. What does it means? Like you see, like the okay, price optimization and all those things, right? They always want you to see that. Like the common calculation they see, like the whatever premium you pay to the company, all that not goes to the company. There are some tax, there are some fee, there are some brokerage, especially in the property casualty, 20-30% commission goes to the brokerage company who is bringing that business to you, right? So all those things comes in the picture. So you see like how good you're performing. Operational performance you monitor in a different way, right? The claim side, they want to see like the everyday live claim count, right? How many claim they are receiving and how many claim they are settling, right? That is very good indicator for them, right? The how much time they are taking to settle the claim, right? The faster is better, right? So the faster claim settlement means like the customer is happy, right? My car incident happened and I called to the Geico and Geico took the 15 days to make the payment. Then I'll be very frustrated. Next day I'll change. I'll change the company, right? So that's why all those metrics is very important for the senior management to understand from open claim to close claim how things are going. If you are getting so many claims in a month, you can see like, oh, what's going on? Are we insuring a lot of the immature drivers? Let's just stop that, right? Or a lot more things, right? You can see a lot more things on that. Same goes for the financial side also. They look for all those things, all those value and matrices and all that. So this is a very high level any process flow or data flow look like in any insurance company, right? You see like the some of the core master data, some of the major entities and how they are connecting to each other. Why this diagram is important? Because you'll not work at one time you're going to work any one section of the data, like first 3 months or 6 months might be you're going to work on the claim, right? So you are going to work on the claim, then your main focus area would be all the objects and data that is related to claim. If you got to work on the underwriting system and report, then you least care about the claim, right? Your main focus would be on the underwriting system and data, right? So, but overall picture is very important. So you know that the what is the common thread between all these department and data, right? Because to make a claim, you need a policy number, right? Without a valid policy number, there is no claim, right? And to get a payment, you need a claim. Without the claim, you will not receive any payment, right? So it's always important to have the higher level picture. Like I always feel like once you have a 60,000 feet view, you understand all the uh, pieces of the puzzle, then it will be very easy for you to assemble that, right? So this is a very high level, how they're connecting, what action is happening, and all that. I mean, it will be more complex, it will be more simple depending on your organization and the maturity and the how big and small your company is. But pretty much these kind of the things, same thing you'll see if you're working in insurance domain. You see the coverage, you see the claim, you'll see the product, you see the underwriting, you see the party. Party is a very important, right? Anybody can guess what is party? Just guess, blind guess. Don't know?
Is the customers is called as party?
Yeah, who is customer in insurance?
Um, Customers or people or the customers in the insurance.
Yeah, so there are so many humans involved in this entire process, right? The first who is taking the policy is called the policy holder or insured, right? So I am the customer of the insurance company. So they don't use the term customer. That's where the domain comes in a picture, right? Customer is good for the sales and marketing, kind of for But when you see the customer, customer is not good word for the insurance. Either it will be policy holder or insured. So I am insured of the Geico, or I am a policy holder of Geico, right? So what it means, like if I am a person, then I need a physical address, I need a phone number, mobile number, and all that, right? And so that's a party. Policyholder or insured is a party. Then it could be possible like Tanya will make a claim for the same policy, right? They will ask like, who are you? I'm Tanya, I'm a spouse, I accident happened, this is my address, this is my detail. So it's not necessarily like the policy holder will be the claimant. So the claimant would be Tanya now, right? So again, claimant also need all the details, right? The address and city, mobile phone. Like if tomorrow Geico need to communicate to claimant, that is Tanya in this case, how they will call them? They need a mobile number and email, right? So they can communicate like the how the claim is progressing. So again, claimant is another party. Then broker or underwriter who is writing a policy on behalf of you is also party, right? So within the company, underwriter, you guys clear who is underwriter, right? Underwriter is the person in insurance company who is writing a policy on behalf of you, right? So that guy, underwriter name is also needed. Like who has issued this policy? Then it's come like XYZ is the underwriter. So every single person and player in insurance company is called party, and then definitely there is a party type. So you know that like okay, he's a claimant, he's an underwriter, he's a marketing guy, he's a claim guy, he's a claim adjuster. So depending on their role, there are all the parties come. So every single person is party, right? They have their own name, they have, and basically in the party we store the party address, communication details, email, mobile address, and all that, right? So itself is a very big in an insurance because you always deal with the people, right? So that is very important. So going to here. This is the next thing is that how the reporting maturity comes in a picture, right? You start with the very ad hoc and reports, and then you do build the dashboard, then you do the data visualization, then you do the advanced visuals, then you go for the predictive analysis, and then you go for predictive modeling, and then you optimize that where you can do the more machine learning and see like okay what could be happen, right? How many like I know that the five claims comes from South Carolina. In next year how many claims may come, right? So those kind of the future prediction you can do with the advanced machine learning and historical trend analysis and all that. So you see like the left to right, it shows the maturity of the company. Usually I have seen like a lot of the insurance companies just struggle on the first part. I mean, if you are on this middle line, you are lucky enough, right? But a lot of the time they just keep struggling over this part, right? So, I mean, not true for all because they do all this modeling too, but kind of the heavy lifting happens between these lines before this left line. And until, see, the thing is that until you are not mature on the data and report, this thing will not make any sense because your result will be wrong, right? Because until your data is not trusted, your data is not correct, your reports are not correct, and you don't have enough data, then there's no point to working on this side, right hand side of the data. So that's why in a data analysis, a lot of things you see like they're asking to Python and data science and all that, but you end up with the doing in the first left of the work, right? So still majority of the work in the left hand side. But I mean, it's not going to hurt, and data science is a separate position at all, right? So you can do on that. This document is available on the Google, so you can go and take a look if needed or whenever you need it. This is overall skill set and all that thing. They have mapped it out, right? What are the skills needed? You know, the analyst, miner, DB, and all those things. What kind of the skill set is needed on this and all those things. I mean, this is more about like if some insurance company is setting up like their own IT, what are the roles they should target and hire and work on that, and how this works and helps. So those things comes in a picture. This is a very good matrix. I think if you are on insurance domain, take a printout and put it on your desk so you can keep seeing like, okay, these are the department, these are the underlying processes and things that happens under that. So these are the very common terms and things you will see and hear time to time. And there is a very good book on that, applied insurance and that. You can read through in detail. These are just some pictures from there. You can go and read in detail if you are interested. So yeah, that's all for insurance, and that's all for today. Any questions or anything?
Madhukar, I have a question.
Yeah, one
Um,
question. So yeah, put on that. Yeah, please ask. Then I'll address that. Yeah, Lila, go ahead.
okay. Yeah. For me, like I'm just observing it for last 1 hour, and I understood little bit. I mean, like I understand, but how much it is very important to know a domain to enter the as a data analyst. It's like by the way we do the work, we can learn more about the domain. Is that good? Otherwise, it is better to know perfectly the domain structure and then entering the data analyst field is good.
Now, I think where you guys are, domain is important, and there are some domain flavor on your resume, but I won't say like you focus on that because you don't know which domain you will end up, right? You are open for that all domain, right? It could be healthcare, it could be insurance, it could be marketing, it could be finance, or it could be something totally different, right? So I'll say like just what I said at this level, just have a overview is good enough, right? So you can say like, okay, you can say like, okay, I know the underwriting system. I've heard that. I don't know, but I can work on that, right? So that's fine. No need to worry. No need to very extensively focus on that. But I'll only say like once you got your job in a particular domain, because whatever job offer you will come to you, it will be from some system and business, right? So once you are on the insurance domain, you know that your company is insurance company, then I'll say like it's very, very important. At that stage, it will become, I'll say like more focus on that to get understanding around the domain, all the terms that I said, what is deduction, what is coverage, what is limit. And I'll say like initial 1 month, 50% focus should be on domain. And because now you have a theoretical domain understanding, now explore the data and see the data, how it look like, produce some reports, do the data exploration of your system, whatever system you are working on, would be very, very critical, right? But before that, it's not worth it to go in detail and understand everything and you got in a healthcare, right? So does it make sense? That is your
Yes,
query?
yes, got it, got it, got it.
Yeah, so I mean, like this just focus on the technical part of that because domain side you got the analyst, business analyst will always help you. Even the business user will always help you. If the claim guy is like, hey, how this payment is coming? I don't know. He says, can you give me the formula and equation? They will say like A plus B plus C equal to D. So you will always get help, right? I mean, so at this stage, focus on the all the technical stuff because that's where they are zero. Analysts don't know about the Power BI. Analysts don't know about SQL query. Your end user don't know about the all the table structure and query, right? So exploring the data, finding the outlier, and all the typical data analyst work is more important than the domain. And one question from Sweta, who will do the modeling? So I'll say like in a big mature company, data modeler is the person who do the modeling. Like they will create this model and you just need to build the visuals. But that is only if you're lucky enough, right? 90% cases it comes like when you are building your Power BI report or Tableau report or any report, you need to make decision how you want to structure your data, right? That's the 90% case. In a big mature company, you see you got the structure, you just need to build the visuals. But that's why like in a going forward in next 1 or 2 week we will be more focusing on that like how to build a model because before building report you need a model. It's not necessarily like whether it's a snowflake or a star. It can be just a flat model will also work, right? So we'll start from the very basic flat model to all the way to very complex snowflake and star schema model. But yeah, I mean not in a very early stage, but you need to know how models work, how to connect, because when you build these 2 or 3 data set into Power BI, you need to build the relationship. And once you build the relationship, based on that, it will decide what kind of the model you are building, right? And every model has some pro and cons. So I'll say to on this answer, it will be your very important skill set, and not in a very early stage, but as you mature, definitely it will be one of the good skill set for analyst. All right. Any other last question, or we are good?
Madhukar, I have one more question.
Mhm.
So, usually, where do we get the insurance data? I mean, from what sources?
So for the company or for your practice, what the context? For
Uh,
company.
for the company?
Yeah, so as I said, like the if you see that the two set of the data mainly comes. I mean, there are variety of right. The one is that if you see the Geico, once you go on the Geico and you fill your details, driving license and car details, that's your underwriting data. So that's produced ton of the data, right? And the second set of data when you make the claim. So they do have a claim system, right? Like I said, the Guidewire is a vendor that has the claim software, and company use that for the claim reporting. So that produce the data. Top of that, as I said, like you were here in the very first screen, there are a lot of the spreadsheet that you get every day, every month. Usually the monthly spreadsheet you get from the broker, that's called the border file for claim and the underwriting both, that you need to inject into your warehouse system and process from there. So variety of the source will be used: CSV, Excel file, and your whatever the database, DB2, SQL, or Oracle, or anything. So that will give you data, and this system produce the data for your instance company.
Depend on database.
Is yeah, it's all depend like the company. If the company is using Guidewire claim system, then it will be the SQL Server database,
Yeah.
because Guidewire and Ducklick use the SQL
Yeah,
Server.
yeah.
So all these things, but those would be the data that you will receive in form of the Excel, in form of the CSV, in form of the relational database, most likely. So that data part not comes to you. You will get the data, right? You'll get the access of the data. You'll get the file. You'll get the Excel. You need to just model and analyze, right? So we are good for today.
Yes.
And tomorrow we'll do the very small modeling kind of things. And tomorrow and going forward, I mean, every week only take one day for the domain knowledge. Next week I'll do the similar things for the healthcare and for other, right? And the next 3 days, this week we'll focus on Power BI. So there we'll start with the very basic to kind of the, I mean, it will not be very advanced level because it's not possible in a 3 class to go to the advanced level. My expectation is only like you feel comfortable to open the Power BI and do something. If you are able to do the same thing for SQL, you should be comfortable to open the management studio and write some basic query, and then you can extend or kind of the enhance your skill set. And if you have any struggle and query, please feel free to send on the chat group, or anytime we can connect on that. Like the Rovina asked today for store procedure, so I'll store procedure and another object I'll plan for tomorrow along with the our Power BI basic introduction. Okay.
Can we just go over through it like um, means when we use the store procedure and why we use and how we
Okay.
recall that? Yeah,
Okay.
just I want to
Yeah.
go through
Okay.
it.
Definitely. Don't worry. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So we'll cover that tomorrow, and you'll be start writing your own store procedure for sure. Not complex, but the basic, right? So whatever you ask, definitely that will cover, and basic of the Power BI.
Yeah. Just if it is possible to go today in brief description, that will be helpful. Tomorrow I have one
Oh,
scheduled
okay.
study. Oh.
Okay. So yeah, no, that's fine. That's let's do that. That's not a. It's not very complicated. If you have anything for, then we can do anytime. See, the anything as we saw that any basic SQL you can convert into view, right? And why we do the view? Because multiple joins you do not need to do every time, right? View is a logical representation of your physical data, right? With the joining and all that. Same goes to the store procedure. A store procedure in usually is faster, right? Why it is faster? Because it's pre-compiled, right? What is mean by pre-compiled? Like if in a student DB, if I'm writing a query, very simple query on a student, right? The query is let's start from dbo dot student. That's my very basic query, right? And I'm running that, then I got the data output. If you see that behind the scene, what SQL Server has done, there is the execution plan. This is the statics, and this is the execution plan, actual execution plan. Now, if you run that, see, this is the behind the scene the database is taking, and 24 kilobyte data has been generated, and 0.003 second is took. So all the things comes in that. It's a very straightforward query. So you see there how many raw index scanning and all that happen, right? So this execution plan. So before running the data and giving you data output, SQL Server engine behind the scene is mapped all your query and then it's produced the data. And so it's very important. So when you create a stored procedure versus a direct query, when you are creating a direct query, SQL Server does not know what query is going to run. So at the runtime, it generates the execution plan, and that's why the performance is little slower. If the same query will be converted as a stored procedure, then a stored procedure is precompiled and saved object into your database, right? Because when I say like the saved object, this is not saved. If I close that, it's gone, right? But all these objects are not going. These are the object of the database, right? So you see like these are the table object. You see here is the view object. I don't know, I have not created the custom view, but there you see the view object, and within the programmability, you see the store procedure function and other things, right? So store procedure goes here as a physical object. So being as a physical object and pre-compiled, whenever this store procedure is called, SQL Server already know like where you need to go. It's thinking this way in a very simple word. I need to select go to Walmart. If you're going the first time, you need to remember like left turn, right turn, left turn. But if you go 100 times, you know that every turn, left, right, you know that, you remember that. That's what is happening over here. If you are writing a direct query, SQL Server need to generate the execution plan. That's a slower. But if you are creating a store procedure, then SQL Server already know where you need to go and how to go. Then it's faster. So that's the one reason. A store procedure always faster because it's already know the execution plan, right? So it's a pre-compiled. So and the other thing is that it's used for the encapsulation also. Encapsulation means like the or kind of the hiding the information kind of things. Because if you are writing like this, where student name, what about that? Where is my result? Previous whether student name equal to Samir, right? So this is my SQL query, right? So whenever I am running and sharing this query, then you see like the live statistics talked about the, okay, how many times it has been execution plan. So whenever you are running that, sorry, whenever you are running this query is visible to everybody, right? But if you create a store procedure, that's very simple step. Let's create a store. Create procedure. Or generally, like all the procedures that we create for the certain thing like insert, update, and delete procedure, right? So when we create the insert, update, and delete, we give the name of that as it is, right? So we are creating a select procedure. So create procedure sp underscore select underscore student. I mean, you can give any name, but I think generally the first name use the sp for store procedure, vw for the view. So we know that what kind of the object we are using, right? As that's it. This is my select store procedure, right? Now let me move this out. So query completed now. So what will be happened? Now to run the store procedure, there is a command called exec and the name of the store procedure. So if I run this command, what will be the output?
Samir, first name Samir.
It's the same output that I have written over here. The output will be the same. But if I am sending this one to somebody, hey, Pravina, can you run this? You don't know what is behind that. You can just run it, right? Got it? So
Yes.
So that's the one thing to hide the information. That's called the encapsulation, not the hide. Like all the logic will be inside, and not only that, it's work as a wrapper also, right? So now it's easy, right? Because you don't need to. This is a simple query. The store procedure query could be the thousands of line, right? Thousands of line, and then you can just simple call it and it work, right? The second thing is that you can make it as a parameterized also, right? So I don't know what the and at the rate name, that's called the parameter of a store procedure as varchar 50, right? Here you can use the at the rate name. I think it will syntax runs as keyword. Uh, something is after as it will go, I think. So once you see the parameter, then you can call it. I'm just missing the let me
Do we
search.
use begin as begin end kind of thing here?
Yeah, I mean, begin and end, you can use it anytime. Let me use the Google parameters. So W3 school is also very good. It's very good things. A lot of the store procedure is needed if you're working as a T-SQL developer or you're working for the programmer, right? You need to write a more complex store procedure. But as an analyst, we usually consume the data, so we do not need to, right? So it's like the create procedure as SQL statement, then it will be the procedure and run execute procedure name, and then it will execute the procedure. And then with the parameter. Okay, so the create procedure with that and then parameter name directly, and then it will come like that. Okay, so we do not need to use the bracket or something. So this is the name of the parameter and this is your data type of the parameter. And if you want to use multiple parameter, you can use the comma, 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 right? So create procedure, that's fine. I just need to use this. And this is the varchar name. And this I'll put that as, right? That's it. So what will be happen in this case? What is the difference between these two? The difference between these two is that it will always give me the student name Samir. That's nonsense, right? Why not I can change the value, right? But if you create this one, let me create a new procedure, student one with the parameter. And when I executed that, so now while calling this store procedure, I can pass the parameter and whatever the value I'll pass over here, that will match over here, right? So now it's look like exec sp1, and then there is a parameter called, what are the other names? Anya, you are here. Good to see you. Okay, so you can put that. So now see, this you cannot do the parameter. When you run these two, it will return Tanya. If I'll change Tanya to Samir, it will return Samir, right? So it's dynamic by nature, right? The same procedure you are changing the parameter and it's working, right? So that's where you do the width parameter. And this is for the select. And if you want to insert the data, then you can create another procedure. And like, I mean, I'm creating a mock-up of that. exec and sp insert. This is more for the programmer. When I was the ASP.NET developer, I was using more like. But as an analyst, I'm least using this, right? So insert a student. So student insert, you need to add this value, all these 4 and 5 values. So behind that, you need to insert a statement. But what will be the advantage of that? Now you can do exec and you can add the first column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column, whatever the value is. And once you run that, then this store procedure will insert the data into a resident table, right? So it's much easier, right? So you don't need to write insert into values and all that, right? You don't need to write the select statement. Just change the value based on your need, pass the parameter, your result is there. Okay. So that's the one benefit. And the second thing is that it's a faster, it's a pre-compiled and it's fast, right? And where you can find this, as I said, under the programmability, you can see like there should be a two store procedure, student one, student two. Sorry, student and student one, right?
You just created that one, right?
Yeah, we just created right now.
But if we don't create it, then where can I see?
If you don't create, then it will be nowhere, right? You need to create it first, right? If you not create, then where it will come, right? And you can add a number of the parameter, whatever, depending on your need, what you want, right? Gender. So now I'll put like a at the rate gender. Is that enough, Rowena?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's the thing only. It's parameterized. It's faster, right?
She's asking something begin and start.
You can do that. Begin is just for the transaction. It begin and end. It's not going to hurt, right? But it's optional because by default SQL Server automatically put the what we call parameter transaction. So it's not necessary. And what we need to know where first name equal to this, and now your query would be gender and sorry. Gender is not a good, but anyway, just because if gender will not match, that will not work. And okay, is active. Is active is the better. At the rate is active, right? Is active, everyone, or I'll just use the bit. Is active is a bit data type, and is active equal to. So you don't need to put the absolute value. You just put the parameter value, and whatever the parameter value will be mapped. That time, the while the execution of the query, the name will be replaced with the name that you are passing on, and is active will be replaced with the passing whatever the value you are passing on, right? So that will be used. So now it has been created. So this time you need to pass two parameter. So if I run with the single parameter, it will throw me an error, right? It will say like, no, it's wrong. We need one more parameter. See, parameter is active is needed, right? So exactive parameter is the 0 or 1, right? So I'll put the 1, right? And I run it, then it will give me the result, right? Is active parameter is 1 and Tanya. If I'll use a 0, then nothing will come, right? So you can create your parameter for name, and usually I've seen like the select parameter, insert parameter, update parameter. So you can pass the value, and whatever the value you are mapping, you want to make it dynamic, then you can map the parameter. That's all. I mean, there's nothing much on that. We use a store procedure for the performance. It's faster, and we can use the parameter. So your query can be dynamic, right? Otherwise, every time you need to write the query. And the third is that is the logic of the store procedure is encapsulated, right? So we can build more complex logic. That's all.
Just said it 3 to 4 lines, whatever Madhukar said, and that's it. Yeah, that's what I know about the store procedure.
Yeah, sounds good, right? It's not complicated, guys. It's not complicated. Just little bit practice.
It's not complicated
Because
because
yeah, I know.
already
No, I know that.
15 years.
I know that. See, your best friend is Google, right?
Yeah.
So you see, I just stuck on the syntax. I query the Google, and you saw that the syntax, and you can apply that. So that's only you need to know like how SQL works, right? The rest you can Google and you can work on that. I mean, I know that like you guys are very new and fresh, but it's not complicated. Believe me, it's not very complicated. Little bit of the focus and practice, and then you will be at that level. From there, you can just go from by yourself. Okay. So that's all for today.